So BTC trading at 82K, but it's pretty rough out there. These alts are under a lot of pressure. We know we've got FOMC coming up tomorrow. That is not the only news out there at the moment as well. There might be something that's going to pump the market coming out in the next maybe hour or so. So we got so much to cover here, guys, today. Obviously, this FOMC is massive, and we're teeing up some of these altcoins for you. We got longs, we got shorts, we got the normal stuff. So let's get right into it. And remember, guys, as always, hit that like, hit the bell, and hit the subscribe. And obviously, I'm here Monday to Friday doing the same stuff every day, even if the market's quiet. Here's James in the house. Is that a bit of Superman? Superman for pumping things up?
I hope so, yeah. Anything.
Give us something out there. Just give us something to work with. So banter bubbles, again, mixed bag. You can see cake is still 6% up. It's a complete outperformer. We had a lot of those short setups we looked at yesterday. A lot of those actually kicked in. One of them was Pepe. That fell over really nicely. But cake, that thing keeps putting me under pressure. Is my short going to get absolutely rinsed out? So we're looking at that, or we're re-looking at cake today. Then ton also, that is super bearish on the weekly, but that is holding a couple of interesting levels. But all around, I would say mixed bag. It's still not, it's not cruising mode. It's not easy mode here for us. And we got to actually understand what Bitcoin is doing right now. And you can see what's gone on. Yesterday, yes, Matty Fart gave us a stop this morning, but it might be coming back just now. We've got 2-hour divergence. I've got that Fartcoin for you guys. Yesterday, we looked at this current BTC. We were looking at a triangle setup here, and we were saying we are very close to some kind of move out of BTC. But obviously, which way was this thing going to go? And as you can see, we got the news we wanted. This thing has now lost its rising trend, and it's now teed up for a bit of a bearish move. So how do we approach this now? What are we looking at? So you can see what's happened. We've lost our rising trend. And now typically if we do start pumping up, we need to just wear a couple of bear goggles on this puppy until we start breaking key levels. So resistance zones, you can see right here, 82K. That makes sense to us. All this is a loss of horizontal support. We're retesting now as resistance. This is typically a resistance area. So 82K is a problem zone for us. Then we've got, if there is a bit more momentum here, 82.5, and then I really like 83.400. Now that is a combination of a wick fill, it's double trends there for us, and it is a 618 bounce play. So 83, call it 83.300. Looks like a fun zone there for us. So those are the upside zones. I'm not feeling super bullish beyond that leading into tomorrow, but there is a little bit of news potentially coming out that could actually pump the market. So we're going to talk about that in a second. So we don't want to be complete bears on the current situation. For example, there's a few alts sitting on supports, and maybe we need to be looking at a couple of them. So BTC, you've got your upside zones. Now, what am I expecting to the downside? Let's say we don't get bullish news today. We know we've got the FOMC coming, and what I would love to see, really, 79,900, 77,500. If we get a dump into this FOMC tomorrow afternoon, I see Arctic Trading is calling it here. Dump into FOMC, guys. Prepare your orders. Okay, so I think we're going to get a nice dovish result then, if that is going to be the case, and we get some beautiful bounces. So make sure you are tuned in tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be key if we are dropping into this FOMC. Make sure you are watching for some key entries there. So downside, guys, 79, call it 79.8, 79.9, and 77.5. Watching that for now. Okay, we'll deal with it if we go a little bit deeper. And Kenny says bear goggles with beer eyes. Now, guys, how's the sentiment out there? How are you all feeling? Only 40%, 47% say, fuck it, I'm done with this. Fuck this, I'm done. Guys, come on, it's not that bad. Is it? Is this the worst? Is this the worst you've seen? I must tell you, for me, this is, it's up there. Okay, with bad conditions, it's up there with terrible things. James, I mean, you got a smile on your face, but
sentiment's fucked. That's what it is.
Not a happy camper. Wait, there he is. Not a happy camper there. Okay, so 46% of you guys saying, fuck this, I'm done. 54% are there. Leather skin. The bulls are in the house. Now, stop thinking about crypto. Get outside, bro. Now, listen, here's Putin on the left. and he might be featuring in a little bit of news at the moment. So as we can see, President Trump is currently in the Oval Office speaking with Putin since 10 a.m. Okay, the call is going well and still in progress. What if Trump walks out of there in a couple of minutes and makes an interesting war announcement or something like that? I believe that could give us a short-term pump in the market. So let's brace ourselves here for some kind of action. We don't know what exactly they're talking about, but I'm pretty confident it's going to end with something like there's a ceasefire again, or the war's ending on XYZ date, or whatever the story. So there could be something here for you guys. So I am going to show you a couple of these altcoins that are floating around support levels. Okay, so obviously this becomes a bit of a gambling exercise here, but some of these alts like Solana right now floating on support. If Trump walks out of his office and drops something mega bullish, these things are going to fly off some of these levels. So let's just be prepped in case. And 𝗕𝗏𝗋𝗃 says, without Zelensky, I don't know. This is all we have. This is all I have.
He wasn't invited to the conversation, no.
Okay, the big boys are talking now, apparently. Okay. Okay, so the stock market, okay, has now been in extreme fear since February 25th, the longest stretch of time since 2022. So Trump is getting exactly what he wants out of the market at the moment. And we know tomorrow is a massive day. We've got FOMC coming in hot, and you can track this on Forex Factory. So it's perfectly free. Just go forexfactory.com and you can see they even give you a nice countdown if you're a DGen trader when these results get released and things like that. So you can track this there. We'll be obviously watching that super closely. And the market now, 𝗵𝗏𝗍 says the market's been raging for over a week.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Me? Just hanging around.
He's just hanging around. So everyone is waiting for Powell's FOMC announcement tomorrow. If he gives a hint of this dovishness, expect Bitcoin to explode upward. I tend to agree. That is why the perfect recipe for us now would be some bearish shit out of the market. Maybe Trump walks out of there and says something negative about the current war situation. We get a sell-off into FOMC. I couldn't think of a better dream case scenario than selling into the FOMC in the next 24 hours. So that will be amazing. And then upcoming FOMC is shaping up to be one of the most pivotal events of the month, as always. And recent market conditions tell an interesting story. Stocks have tumbled, CPI's cooled off, bond yields are declining, unemployment remains above 4%. These signs point to an environment where the Fed could adopt a more dovish stance. So remember, if Joe Powell comes out super dovish, that's pretty bullish for the market and pretty bullish for crypto. And if he does do that, well, I mean, these altcoins are going to rip. So it is going to be something fun to look forward to. And it's already pretty much guaranteed that the rates remain 425 to 450, says Marzel Crypto. Markets, however, will be watching the Fed's dot plot, which shows sentiment on how many cuts we can expect in 2025 and to what percent. Very important information.
That's the only thing that matters tomorrow is the dot plot. His speech, of course, and his tone, but this is equally as important. The amount of rate cuts that the market perceives are going to happen is what's going to make or break tomorrow.
100%. So where are we? 3 rate cuts, then the market could see a solid move up. We'll probably get 1 or 2% there out of the S&P. We might get a nice big Bitcoin push and alts push. 2 rate cuts, similar before. He's suggesting it's flat. I don't know. The market, I don't know. I think the market will react positively to 2 rate cuts, 3 rate cuts. 1 rate cut, we're fucked. I mean,
100% we're screwed. Yeah, short everything if it's 1.
So this is what is probably going to happen. They're going to price in some form of news here. Okay, so we're either going to get this pump or we're going to get this dump. We just need to be super reactive to what we get. Okay, that's all I can say. So
and watch out for that first candle.
Yes, well, the fake out.
Right, that's what I mean. That first pump on the news. Don't go for that one. Give it a minute, let it settle in, and then get in.
So look, we'll be catching this live as well with that FOMC. We will be dealing with it. S&P, let's talk S&P. So I'm actually taking a bit of a gamble here on Meta. And I'm going to tell you guys now in a second my plan. But basically, this sell-off for me, it smells like it might be worth a little bit of risk on one or two of these things in case this FOMC starts falling or moving into our favor. So S&P right now, you can see what's going down. It's playing the game. We lost the level. What did it do? Pumped up, rejection. And for all intents and purposes, this thing should be making its way down to lower levels. Now, obviously, we've got this FOMC tomorrow. So it's anyone's guess right now as to which way it could go. But I'm inclined to think that based on, the reversals that we are seeing on these oscillators, the reversals and all the sell-offs that we are seeing everywhere, the pressure out there in the market and things like that, I think the market is dying for some kind of relief bounce. So I'm looking at Meta as a potential stock play that could give us a 10 or 15% bounce. Now, the Magnificent Seven has had a rough start to 2025. Decline of this Magnificent Seven stocks from their 52-week highs. Look at this. Alphabet, 21%. Meta's only 20%. Tesla got absolutely wrecked, 50%. But we missed that 20% bounce by a couple of dollars. I'm still quite frustrated about that. But I suspect if we get decent news in the next 24 hours, I think these are going to bounce. So the first one I'm looking at is Apple. And this one is still too far away from my entry zone. So I don't think we're going to get that just yet. Unless we get some major sell-off there tomorrow, we're looking at another 7% downside. We're looking for an Apple before we can get a bounce. But in terms of Meta, now this is an interesting one, and you've seen me talk about this before, but the amount of emphasis that these guys put on the 200-day moving average. Do you remember the song and dance when Nvidia hit the 200-day MA and it closed back above? The whole of Twitter basically erupted with excitement that it held the 200-day MA. Well, here's Meta, and it's dropping into the 200-day moving average while we're getting some kind of reversal situation here on the oscillator. So for me, there's two zones here where Meta could potentially bounce. And right now we're in the degen play. This is the 200-day moving average. And then I've got a little bit lower down in this nice little horizontal. Now, this is a big level for us. This is a weekly zone that we can look at. So 540, that is going to be my big swing play here on Meta. I would suspect if we get a little bit more weakness tomorrow, that 540 is going to hold for at least a dead cat bounce or something. So we're going to get a 5, 10, 15% move out of Meta if we drop into something like that. But there is a degen play here, the 200-day MA. We know these guys love the 200-day MA. What if Trump walks out of the office just now and says they've resolved certain things, feeling a little bit bullish? We might get a move later this afternoon off the 200-day moving average on this Meta. Okay, so I've started a position on BTCC. The first level, 571. We're watching the 200-day moving average, 571. Look how this thing acts as support for these stocks. You can see they love riding above it. It will obviously be tragic news if we start closing under the 200-day MA, but I still believe we'll get a dead cat bounce of sorts. And then the next big zone, so it's 571. The next big zone is 544. So I'm going to have a crack at this on BTCC. And you can see I've taken my first order already. I've bought my first position. Then I've got extra orders. 556 I'm adding, and 540 I'm adding. So I'm looking for, some kind of bearish sell-off maybe tomorrow. Ping, pick up these orders, and then looking for that bounce of 540 and looking for a 10 to 15% bounce here, potentially on some bullish news. Obviously, if we're wrong, we're going to get ripped. So, for me, I'm playing the major weekly pivot as my big support. So 540, you start closing under, say, 535, 536, those types of region. You start closing under there. Well, there's pressure. Okay, you might want to be cutting that position. But the degen play, if you guys want a degen stock play, that is what I'm looking at the moment. You can trade this with me on BTCC. So all the things that I talk about are sitting in the show description. Just go under the show, click on more, and there is BTCC there under the show description. Sign up there. You just send crypto, and then you can trade these tokenized stocks using crypto. So you can literally send USDT. You can send crypto to this platform, convert it, and then you're trading futures with these stocks. Okay, so a little bit of action coming up here for us. Let's see if we get our degen play. And Jesse says, morning, beard looks glorious. Let's not go lower. Jesse, I concur. Let's not go lower. Okay, let's try and get a bounce out of Uncle Donald. Maybe even a couple of hours here. Okay, now, Ali Charts says, the tide has turned. After 3 months of distribution accumulation, trend scores are hinting at early signs of Bitcoin accumulation. Okay, so yeah, I mean, is that bull source? I don't even know if it's worth the effort. But Ali Charts also dropped a tweet just now trying to send AVAX to $7. So we're going to talk about AVAX at $7 just now as well. But a little bit of bull source for you guys. Maybe it is time that we get some kind of move. But you guys know, if you've been watching the show for the last while, my current sentiment is any big bounces out the market should be treated as bearish. And I'm still looking for moves down to those types of levels. Okay, that is basically how I'm seeing things play out, bar some amazing, incredible news that changes. Remember, Trump's really wants to sink the markets. Now, we don't know how deep he wants to go, and we'll have to wait and see how this all plays out. But, does his plan really end here with the S&P, 5-10% down, or does the plan end with the S&P going a little bit deeper? We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But that is my current sentiment here. 91 to 95 upside for BTC is bearish, and looking for lower at some point. I think we're going to see the 70K region. So 73 to 70K, that makes sense for me as a bounce zone. And then obviously it's in the bear's hands. Whatever happens after that, we'll see what happens, maybe 51, things like that. And we can always flip bullish again once we start reclaiming big levels. So remember, we can always change our sentiment when we have new information in front of us. We can look at these levels as objectively as possible, and then we can make new decisions. But right now, the big stuff is ahead of us. 90 to 95K, it's a big problem area. If we break above that and find support above that, then we can put our bull caps on, and then we can say all-time highs coming and things like that. Until then, we play what's in front of us. And right now, if this was a 15-minute chart, we'd be saying we're most likely getting downside. So if you're looking at this realistically or objectively, I think it would make sense to you that that should be playing out. So again, happy to get new information and then see as we go along the way. Dr. Assad, he says, love. Hello, sir. Don't forget to
treat the like button like Michael Jackson. Just beat it.
And JR, I think JR has got a man crush on Jay. Okay, so JR over there has got a man crush on Jay in Chart Hackers, because Jay is absolutely fucking smashing it at the moment. And he's a degen scalper, and he's in Hackers. He's trading the Asia session, and we're going to get him to trade 1 or 2 New York open sessions as well. So you guys in the day can get a taste of the action. Yes, sir.
I think there's a lot of man crushes going on in Hackers for Trader Jay. He is a bit of a hunk too. You seen those biceps? Yeah.
He's got some guns. The man's got some guns. What must we say? Well, he's got guns and tats. I mean,
it is what it is. Yeah.
The guns don't lie. Okay, so guys, if you want some scalping in Hackers, you want to trade a couple of opening sessions there, come and join. Yeah, I see Zen says sweet bromance. Okay, let's go. One thing I want you guys to note: the liquidation heat map. This is the 3-day liquidation heat map, and you can see the action here. We've taken out a lot of liquidity to the downside. We do have a little bit of a cluster left here, down to 80,000, you can see, but a lot of the work has been done now. And I dropped this liquidation heat map in Hackers earlier today, so this was easy to come and take out. Now, upside, you can see the fund is still sitting at 85K to the upside. And again, you'll note how this starts tying into some of our charts. Remember, I like to use this liquidation or liquidity heat map here to guide us. Okay, so we know, based on that information, there's lots going on in that region as well. Okay, so this is all no FOMO stuff. If we pop into these zones expecting rejections, if we rip into that zone again, also fair call. We're not allowed to get FOMO at that 85 region. It's a big danger zone there for us. Okay, so let's go. Let's get into some altcoins and a couple of things. So dominance, obviously, the reason your alts aren't getting absolutely decimated right now is because dominance is falling over. So that is a nice sign. Remember, red dominance is helping your altcoin. So even if the market is not looking that great, if dominance is red, it means these alts are trying to hold some levels. They're not getting completely decimated. So, the danger zone for me is going to be the 61%. Look at that. Any move into that type of area there, I would be careful on some of these altcoins, because we might see a bounce. Now, that could be quite negative for some of the alts potentially. So just look out, guys. 61%. That is going to be the trouble zone for you guys. Now, let's look at an important marker, ETH BTC, and we're not looking at total 3 today. I thought let's just go straight into ETH BTC. And again, this thing is trying to hold its monthly level. If we zoom in here, you can see the ETH bulls are really fighting now. Okay, they're really saying, fuck, we got to hold this thing up on the monthly, and that's also why that dominance is doing a little bit better there for us at the moment. So still looking for a bounce. At some point, we're getting a bounce. We're getting a strong bounce on ETH versus BTC. Is it going to be there, or do we have to wait for more pain lower down? But look, either way, we're going to enjoy the moment when it comes, and we're going to reap the rewards. But right now, we just watch these big levels, and we react on those zones. And, Dad, what happened to ETH in 2025? I feel like I'm going to have to answer this question. I mean, I actually feel sad. Like, I'm going to have to answer to all these ETH bull posts that I've been talking about for the last 18 months.
You know what's interesting is that whale yesterday that was shorting Bitcoin everyone was tracking. He took the profits and bought spot ETH with it. That same wallet, $6 million went into ETH. So interesting.
Well, did somebody show him this tweet just to remind him? Just to remind him he might be making a grave mistake. Now, I mean, guys, I'm still sitting in ETH, and I just thought today I dropped this. Follow me on Twitter at the Lord of Entry. I just dropped this today. S&P 500 7-year performance. What's outperforming, shitcoin or S&P 500, the boring grandpa token? Now, I mean, look at this. The S&P is busy beating ETH at the moment. Yumi says, all my arrows are pointing down. Yumi, you don't like that, do you? Okay, look, well, these arrows are pointing down, but maybe we go up a little bit first. So, guys, my view on ETH, no changes. 2,100, 2,400. I still think we get a pump into that area before we see 1,516. I stand to be corrected, but that is how I'm playing it. I still believe we're going to see upside first on ETH before we see more downside. Now, that is why I'm staying in my ETH long position on VX, not changing that thing at the moment. Kenny says ETH equals blockbuster. Bro, it's a ball buster, not a blockbuster. But that is my plan, guys. So looking for upside on ETH. Obviously, if I'm wrong, this thing goes straight down. 1,516 is where we are coming next, and I'd say that's a reasonably high conviction long zone for ETH. It's probably going to get front run as well, because I think everybody is watching that area, okay, as the next zone for ETH. So keeping our eyes on that. Yes, Sol also fast becoming a major shitcoin. Whenever the market starts moving to the upside, Sol is like an old snail, and it just kind of crawls around and does some weird shit. So right now, again, holding its major weekly 110. I still believe we are getting a push up first before they send us down. I'm still looking for that kind of bounce out of the market there. And, it can happen super quickly. It can happen this afternoon. It can happen on that FOMC tomorrow. We could get a snapback bounce there on these tokens and catch everybody by surprise. Remember, if you're seeing red leading into the FOMC and you are climbing into shorts, you're going to be part of the statistic that gets absolutely rinsed. If Powell even farts dovish tomorrow afternoon, you are going to get rinsed out. So just be careful. Slothman is talking about wiener cutters in the chats. I don't even know what's going on anymore here, bro. So let's go Sol. Let's see where we are. And here we go. So this is what I mentioned earlier now when we started the stream. There's a lot of tokens sitting on horizontal supports that we need to just look and acknowledge. Like, it's not the end of the world just yet. We've drifted into lower levels. Now, anyone that's traded this chop, you can see we've sat in certain zones for lengthy periods of time, and we've chopped around, and then the market decides a direction, and then bang, they send us down, or bang, they send us up. Okay, so that is kind of where we are at the moment, but we working on these hot zones, and right now you can see we've dropped into another Solana hot zone. So what you can do if you want to speculate things, we're looking for some kind of consolidation in this area, which it's currently giving us. We can see there's an order block here. There's a 618. I'm pretty sure we've seen Sol respond to a 618 quite nicely over the past few years. And I expect Sol to do something, or at least try to do something on a 618. So it would be uncanny if Trump walked out of his office just now and dropped some bullish news and everything rips off the 618. So just planting this here again, bullish order block, 121 for Sol. This is it. Lots of horizontals. Obviously, guys, if there's more downside, you can look at your reaction zones. Remember, the DGen levels, you got to take the good with the bad. DGen traders, leverage traders, you got to track your next level. So 121, 118, and then you're looking at 112 to 110. Okay, big margin traders, spot traders, 110. That's all you need to know. Closed under 110, bearish. Holding this 110, I'm looking for a bounce anywhere up to 140 to 150, anywhere in that region, looking for upside on Sol. So game plan there intact. And then resistance zones, guys, keep it really simple. Again, leading into tomorrow, if you get a pump into these danger zones, just be careful. So first one, 131. Second one is 136 to 140. Watch out those areas. Those are high probability rejection zones or resistance zone. Sol is going to have to move here, or it's going straight to hell. Luke, I concur. If it loses that 110 weekly, it's not pretty. We're going to be teeing up $79, $80. You know what they're going to do? They're going to give us a fake out back up to like 115, and then they're going to come and rinse us. Okay, so that is pretty much how I see it playing out for Sol. Now, let's talk Sonic. We touched on this yesterday. I had a stop loss on Sonic yesterday. We took that long live, and that eventually it pushed up a little bit, and then they reversed us and stopped us. So Sonic is experiencing the highest growth in monthly active users at the moment, according to Solid. Now, I don't know if this is official information, because look at Optimism, number 9. I mean, who the fuck uses Optimism? Yeah, I mean, Fluid. What is Fluid? Does anyone know what Fluid is? And Cyberswap. I mean, God, are they just making this stuff up at the moment? Are these bots, James? What's using all this stuff?
I don't know. That's a good question. Optimism,
Yeah.
I can't believe that.
Optimism and Balancer. Look, what do I know? I just trade shitcoins. Okay. Mia, thank you for the reminder. Don't forget to take profits, guys. That's the normal practice. Now, let's look at Sonic from a broader perspective. Now, there's a lot of bull posting at the moment about Sonic. You've seen Andre Cornier, the dev behind Sonic, a very smart guy, and all sorts of things happening. So lots of bullish news on Sonic floating around at the moment. What we can do if we want to track history, we go back to the weekly chart of Fantom. Remember, Sonic is an offshoot of Fantom, and we want to get a perspective as to where we are in the grand scheme of things on Sonic. So, you know, in terms of guys looking for spot, in terms of the low leverage traders and things like that, there are some huge levels here to the downside that, you know, you could still hold and still be relatively bullish on this thing, you know, after all this drama has unfolded in the market. So 33, massive level. 26 is a massive level for us on Fantom. Now, obviously, in between all of that, you can do the degen thing, and you can take on a bit of risk. You can trade leverage. You can do these types of things, but you have to just position yourself a little bit differently and understand that, you know, this thing could still hold the lows at even at 41 here that you see, and you could hit a couple of stops here until you get a successful trade. Now, you can see I've been using the hot zone indicator for this thing, and it's working in terms of the fact that the hot zones are talking to us. The market is just not behaving. So we hit the hot zone. It lit up yesterday, float, and then they ended us. What do? We drop into the hot zone again, and now we're reacting in the zone. And, you know, the hot zones are all about reaction areas. This is where we tee up a lot of our trades and a lot of our moves. So right now they're doing their job. They're giving us these reaction zones, but we really need BTC to start playing ball and start sending these things at the moment. So in terms of Sonic, I'm waiting now. I'm going to sit back and wait. I'm going to try and turn this into a momentum play for us here. So what you can do, obviously, is, I mean, we're looking at Sol. That's obviously one of them. We're looking for some kind of accumulation here in that area, then a pop and a trend break. What you can do is sniff around in the zone once again, but with the understanding that your 618 is actually sitting a little bit lower. So what you're going to see here on the hot zone indicator is once this drops into that zone, if we start getting confluence, it's going to light up another flame in this area for us, and that should be a trigger to tell us if this is an area you want to pay attention to again. So you can see we've had our divergence, and it's quite unusual that divergence fails like that. Well, there it is, failed divergence. We had our reversal print again on this hot zone. That's why it triggered. And let's see if it drops into that 618 again at 46. Let's see if we're going to get a hot zone fire in that area. Okay, so looking at something here on Sonic. Now, how do you play these areas? Same principle. You can nibble on these hot zone levels, and then you can play the momentum once you break these trends. Once you break the trend, it often is telling you that you know, momentum may be shifting. And if that trend break is true, it means the bulls are going to step in on any retest. If it's a fake out, well, the bulls are nowhere to be seen, and the token keeps falling over. So what you do is you can nibble on the hot zone areas, and then you can play the big trend break, and you can start really starting to add to those positions. So smaller time frame degen play here in front of you, and then bigger picture. You can see, guys, bigger picture, guys, trading spot. Just chill, okay? You're going to get your big moves to the upside. You're going to get these swings eventually. So just hang in there. And WorldCoin users cashing out into Optimism. Okay, So WorldCoin, I think WorldCoin was a failure at the end, or is it still a thing? I don't know, James, but I remember they wanted 1 billion users, and then they only had 20 million. So they were 980 million users short when we last checked. But we'll see. I think it wasn't a 2025 was their deadline. I don't know. Okay, let's go. So Sonic, guys, there you are. And Nitin, welcome back, sir. Good to have you back. Probably in good timing. If we get a bullish FOMC there, we're gonna see some pumpage. Now, let's talk about couple of things from yesterday. So one of them was Pepe, and Luna Crush says social analytics, top coins by combined social and market activity, and Pepe was number one, funnily enough. Now, we did notice that Pepe was outperforming a lot of the market yesterday, but that also gave us the opportunity to look for a short. And the setup yesterday was slightly different. So those of you that missed it or missed the setup yesterday, there were 3 shorts on Pepe previously that we nailed. Okay, those 3 up there, and they all played out quite nicely. Look, that middle one was basically a second visit, but we had multiple reasons on the lower time frame as to why those zones were going to work. Now, what I was looking at yesterday, while this thing was pumping, I was saying we want to see this divergence play out first. When we get that divergence, it's going to be a sign that Pepe is going to fall over. And how did I see that playing out? Well, what I wanted to see was an extra pump on Pepe into the quantum reactor and the 618. And it's played out absolutely perfectly here. Pinged the QR, pinged the 618, and then gave us that reversal. And at the same time, printed that bearish divergence over there that worked out. So again, just a couple of things you guys need to watch when you are tracking these zones. It's very important that we try and pick up divergences on these oscillators, because every time you hit a new resistance zone or a new support zone, the oscillator might be telling you a different story. And what it was telling us yesterday was that there was room for this thing to pop a little bit higher, and we needed to see a lower high on that oscillator and a higher high on price. And that's exactly what it gave us. And then it gave us that beautiful rejection that we needed there on Pepe. So note the higher high on price, the lower high on the oscillator, divergence, and then bang, that's kind of what you look for. Now, it's going to be interesting because we're going to look at cake as the next chart, and you're going to see we might be getting rinsed on this cake because this divergence might not be playing out now because there's a lot of bull news around it. So in terms of what is the next move for Pepe, I think let's be patient. You can see, you know, we keep it as simple as possible here. Let's just raise our fibs. Okay, you can see we've got a level. Okay, yeah, we've got a level here. But what we want to see ideally is a reset on a couple more of these oscillators. So let's just try and see where our 2 hour is here. And you can see our 2 hour is telling us that we might want to drift a little bit lower still. So you can see the last time we had a reversal there, we printed the oversold, we printed the reversal, and we were dropping into a support zone. So I typically really just want to see the same thing now. So if we're going to use this quantum reactor over here, that could make sense for us. We maybe dip into that zone there. That could be a nice one. Or alternatively, we're looking at the 61 for Pepe. So in terms of bounce zones, short-term bounce zones, Pepe traders, 655, 615. That is basically where you want to see this reversal play out on that 2 hour. 615, 655 is where you want to see it play out. So look out for that. Obviously, if the market rips now and turns bullish, well, a slightly different scenario. Who said Sol's pumping? God, he's watching tiny candles there, okay? Nitin, you're watching the small candles there, bro. But look, nice. Out of an order block, 618, guys. It could be something here, okay? And Shazan wants to know some 𝗬𝗎 action. We can look at 𝗬𝗎. Let's get through cake swap. Okay, so Pepe, you guys, where we? Okay, Pepe, you know what to do. Downside, where I'm interested, I want to see that reversal on the oscillator. If we want to have high conviction on some of these trades, I want to see the reversal print. So watching those lower levels, ideally for Pepe. Now, let's look at cake swap. 24-hour fees generating $5 million, which is 3 times more than Uniswap, nearly 5 times more than Meteora. Okay, so that's kind of good news. We've seen cake swap has been absolutely ripping, and we touched on this one yesterday. And you can see this thing is still sitting at resistance. Now, it doesn't mean it can't pump any higher, but in terms of cake, I'm still in my short position. And you can see I'm still long ETH here. It's $46,000 long on WEX. And cake, I'm short. I started that short yesterday, and I've got another cake sell order. 2.915. I've got another short order there for cake, and obviously stand to be completely rinsed here if I'm wrong, but that is my current game plan there. And cake, I'm running on a 7x margin, so we're not trading massive size here. We are trading low leverage here, trying to build a short position with the anticipation that cake eventually rolls over based on the information we have. So let's look at the type of information that we have. And you can see this is cake on the 2 hour at the moment. And this is the picture I drew for you guys yesterday in terms of what we are looking for. So I'm kind of anticipating another push for cake into this 2.9 region, the 2.91 zone. Looks like a zone of interest there for me in terms of a rejection. So you can see right now it is kind of flagging at the top there. Let's see, how this leads into, maybe some bearish move for us. This could be a wedge playing out for us, and then we get that dip to the downside. So cake, I'm still remaining patient in this thing. I do believe that this thing should come down. And if you look at the previous example with cake, when this thing absolutely pumped, it did fall over pretty nicely after that reversal. It was about a 27% before it bounced again. Now, obviously, it's difficult to pick the exact top of this cake situation, and perhaps I've started this thing prematurely, and that is why I've started a low leverage position where we've got a couple of sell orders to the upside. So I'm just trying to build this position while we pump into that zone. Now, I'm not going to stick around and start adding more if we start ripping through this order block. I'm just going to let it be, and we're going to cut that position there. Anything, say, above, say, 2.96. If we start closing above that 2.96, it's probably a little bit too bullish for me, and then we might be cruising higher to fill this wick to the upside. Now, this wick is at 3.4, so just understand the damage that can be done to your trading account if you get caught on the wrong side of a short. There could be another 12% here on cake before it reverses. What I do know for sure is that it's going to reverse. It's just a matter of time now. So my risk is above 2.96. It's another 12%. I won't be adding to that position. We'll cut that position, and then we'll deal with the rejection if we do get to that type of zone on the upside. Now, why am I trying to short this thing? Well, let's look at it on the 4 hour, and you can see we've got a couple of tough zones here, and it's done exactly what we want these things to do. When they pump into a 618, these are your typical rejection zones, and that is where you look for the action. And you can see this thing has actually eaten up the order block. We had a big order block here at the 618. It's now eaten the order block. It's gone. And then we have our next order block at this 2.91 level. And in terms of the oscillator, well, this thing is screaming at us, telling us it wants to reverse. It's heavily overbought. It's printing the reversal signs. You can see this cash flow is starting to turn to the downside. And that's kind of what we want to see if we are looking for short. So that cash flow bending over a little bit. And that is why, I'm looking for this cake to start falling over. Okay, so that is cake in a nutshell. And then in terms of targets, if it does fall over, 2.2, 1.88. Okay, don't get smarter than that. 2.2, 1.88. That's all you need in your life. Now, just practice risk management, guys. Just be safe with this thing. You can see exactly how I'm playing that. And now, Ali charts. Why is this guy sending us to 7 on AVAX? I mean, I like it. The man's bearish. And what does No Risk Lambo says? Head and shoulders on most coins. Not good. Yeah, true story. But Ali chart says AVAX breaks loose. Exiting this channel sets up a big price swing to 7. Okay, so maybe he's getting ahead of himself, maybe not. I thought let's take a look at some big AVAX levels here and just try and get a perspective as to where this thing can bounce. So massive weeklies. We can see this is AVAX on the weekly, and in terms of what the chart is saying, is the bottom of AVAX potentially down here? And I would have to agree. That's about 8.5. So I'm not sure exactly where he's getting his 7, unless he's talking about these lower levels. And maybe that pivot there, 7. Potentially a little fake out to the downside. But for me, weeklies for AVAX, massive level here, 9.5 down to 8.5. Looks like a massive zone for AVAX. I do expect to get some beautiful longs off there. But in the meantime, I don't think it goes there in a straight line. I think we get there eventually, but it could easily just look like Bitcoin, for example, and do that before we get some kind of big move. So it's not all doom and gloom. And I do believe we're going to get pumps in between this stuff. I don't think they're going to just completely end us. Oh, well, look, I mean, they have done it before. May 22. Oh my God, look at this. Yeah, they came to James. They came to end us there in May 22. Not, I mean, here I'm saying not necessarily in a straight line, but fuck me, look at this thing. Bang. Okay, they came and sent us straight to hell. It was very polite of them to hold that level there at 15. Very sweet of them. Yeah, guys, look, it can obviously get messy. So, what do you want to see now as AVAX traders? Higher time frame, I think you bounce 15.5. You'll probably bounce 12, and you'll probably, I'm pretty confident you're going to bounce around about 9. Okay, so that is it. 𝗬𝗏𝗧𝗀, you late, bro. Okay, well, you late. You got to be on time here. Okay, let's see AVAX lower term and lower time frame. So, Tommy, bro, come on, control yourself. So, yeah, AVAX 2-hour time frame, a couple of things going on here. You can see anyone who's been trying to long or short AVAX has been involved in a chop fest since when was this? Wednesday, the 12th of March. So you've been getting chopped up. Congratulations, enjoying the chop, up, down, up, down, up, down. And they even came and insulted you with the fake out to the upside. Okay, a little fake out, and then bang. Okay, came and send everyone back to zero. So what is the plan here for AVAX? So in terms of what I'd look for, I'd say medium chance of a bounce here down to 17.7. I'd say you can see these wicked here. They could come into play for us. But where would I like to see this thing before we start looking for longs in terms of downside? So I'd love to see this block here. There's a nice wick here in this region. There's a 618, so 17 to about 16.5. 17 to 16.5 looks like a fun zone for me on AVAX. I think potentially you're getting something at the 17.7, but higher conviction for me, 17 to 16.5. That makes the most sense for me from this perspective. And that is if we are falling over into FOMC tomorrow, for example. Now, what is the other or the converse option here? Well, you can see you've got a range of support at the moment, but I'd be very careful with what you're seeing here. But you can see loads of chop here at about 18.3 as your current support. It's actually floating on a VWAP, which is interesting. But what we want to see now is if we're going to turn bullish on AVAX, it's a very simple game plan. Okay, if we pop this horizontal, which is sitting at 19.3, if you pop 19.3, you more than likely are going to reject at 19.8, and it's all going to come down to, are the bulls going to step in on that retest? That's really going to be the test for you. That's going to tell you if this pump is fake or not. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your fib from the low to the high, wherever this thing rejects. So drag your fib to wherever this thing rejects, okay? Look for that, and then you're going to tie in your 382 and your 618. And you want to make sure these bulls are going to step in that zone over there. If they do, and you get a bounce in that area, then take on some risk, okay? But until then, just be a little bit cautious there, leaning towards a dip into the 16 zone. It would make sense before they send this thing up super aggressively. It would make sense to come and clean out some of the downside stuff. Now, you can imagine, there's probably a lot of longs in the zone. So just be careful there, please. And again, all these charts that you see on the show go straight into Chart Hackers directly after the show as well. So you can find them all there for you guys. And Frank says, AVAX, this coin is game over. 145 at its top. Oh my God. Frank, did it go to 145? No. Oh my God, it did. Wow. You know what the worst is for me, Frank? Filecoin. That thing is offensive. That is absolutely offensive where that thing went. Okay, let's talk Hyperliquid. So again, we spoke about this one yesterday. Now, why is this interesting? It's because it's getting touted as the #1 DEX out there. Now, I don't know, how it's all working, but the whole of Twitter is all over this Hyperliquid. They've seemed to have forgotten about all the other DEXs. They're just saying this thing is the best thing in the whole world. And you know how this works. Okay, you've seen it with GMX. You've seen it with, what was the other one, DYDX, where all the attention is, and then suddenly it's just gone. And hype seems to be the flavor for everybody at the moment. So let's get on the hype. Let's talk about it again. So Duncan from Flood Capital here has dropped a proposal or an example as to why he thinks hype can go to $50 to $100. And you can read his thread here if you're interested in hype and you're interested in fundamentals or pumpermentals, that's his information. But in terms of what the charts are telling us, in terms of buying spot, in terms of trying to accumulate, this is the zone. Okay, so obviously this thing can go lower, but in terms of, you know, what do you do now as an investor? Is it safe to buy? Well, I'd say based on the hype in the market, a literal hype, and based on the sentiment around this thing, and the fact that when the market starts pumping again, this hype is actually going to make money. And they've got deflationary tokenomics from what I understand, James, or they're buying back their tokens. So this thing will make money, guys. And, you know, when the market is super bullish, whether you're buying this hype at, you know, $6 down here or $4, or you're accumulating here, at some point this thing goes back to 25. At some point it goes back to 32 when the market comes back, and you're going to get a pump out of this. So in terms of spot, buy it, okay? 12 to 13 makes sense to me. If it goes down to 6, add. If it goes down to 4, add. Unless something fundamentally goes absolutely wrong with this thing, when the market reverses, the traders come back, this thing is pumping, okay? Facts. So there's hype. And then in terms of degen play, well, if you want to play the degen game, you got to have some kind of structure and some kind of plan to, you know, how you go about these things. Now, every time you take on a degen plan and the market is choppy, you obviously stand the risk of getting stopped out unnecessarily, and you almost waste bullets. So what I can suggest in conditions like we're experiencing now, again, is we trading a lot smaller size, okay? When things are flying and things are cooking, we're opening massive size positions, and that's great because everyone's making tons of money, the market's ripping everywhere. But when things are getting super choppy, you just dial things down a little bit, slow down on the size, slow down on the leverage, slow down on the frustration as well, and just start planning how you go about things. So if I have to give you a strategy for trying to accumulate a position now on hype, and again, with all the uncertainty in the market, it's pretty tricky to see, you know, how to go about this. But what I could say is whenever we move into an interesting support zone, you can nibble in those zones, okay? You can nibble in these types of areas here. These are your zones of interest. You don't really want to play around in between. That's a waste of money, okay? If you're playing around in between those levels, it's a waste, okay? 𝗬𝗰 for your son, please, Danny Chinkatron. What's happening, bro? How's this guy? Is he okay? Are you, Chinkatron? We must look at 𝗬𝗰, bro. So in between these big zones are almost waste zones for me. Okay, so, you know, obviously you can zoom in and play micro levels and all these things, but ultimately, if you're in a choppy condition, you want to be as zoomed out as possible. Now, I mean, here we are on a 1 hour time frame. So, you know, stay away from the 3 minutes, stay away from the 5 minutes, zoom out on the big areas, say where are the big reaction zones, and start playing those types of areas. Okay, so hyper liquid for me, 12.8 down to 12.6, fiddle around there. Okay, if you get a drop in that area. A little bit lower, fiddle around 12.2, makes sense to me. Okay, these are nice areas. And then in terms of moving higher, well, you can see we've got a resistance band now on the 1 hour. So this will be a proper degen setup. If you guys want a degen setup, this is typically what you're going to be looking at. So you can see at the moment on this lower time frame, we are pushing into horizontal resistance. So if you are jumping into a trade here at horizontal resistance, you are buying it in a danger zone. So you are taking a bet that it's going to pop through this resistance band. So if it does, what typically happens is you get your rejection and you get your retest. Now that is normally your safest buy that you can get, okay, in terms of trying to play momentum. So when you see it sticking its head out above the horizontal, you can nibble a little bit in those areas. Don't ape. When it pops through and then comes back for that retest, that is often your opportunity to then add to that breakout play. So breakout play is obviously a little bit more dangerous. You're taking on risk into those types of zones. So, you know, try and stick to the hot zones, try and stick to the big areas. And in terms of momentum, guys, if you blow through 13.5, so if hype pops 13.5, that you want to use as your new support base. So if it comes back and it closes under 13.5, then it's most likely turning bearish again. So 13.5, if you pop through that, you're using that as your support base. If you get a candle close under 13.5 again, it's bearish, okay? And 𝗬𝗰 says chop suey, and G65 says what's the name of the indicator at the bottom? Guys, the indicator I'm using is all available in my accelerator course. Okay, so go sign up for my accelerator course. You're going to learn about the VWAPs, the horizontals, the fibs, all these cool things that I do. And I'm tying in the oscillators as well. I'm tying in the quantum reactors. I'm tying in the order blocks. I'm tying in all those things for you guys in my accelerator course. And then I've also got a nice surprise for you, that hot zone indicator that we have been developing. And you can see this thing, it lights up. It's got tons of confluence that creates the flame in there. There's multiple reasons why these things happen. And this is built on the basis of that accelerator course. So jump in there, and you're gonna get a nice surprise there with the hot zone indicator. Okay, so everything is available for you in the show description. There's the accelerator course. Just click on it, sign up. 10 very short days of learning how to trade and learning a couple of things. There's also going to be leverage masterclasses and stuff for you guys there as well. So tons happening. Okay, let's talk farts. Okay, and then let's talk 𝗬𝗰. And then we're going to have to see what the crypto gods have in store for us. So in terms of Fartcoin, I've been focusing on the hot zone indicator for Fartcoin a lot lately as well. And you can see on the 2 hour, I've been telling the guys it's close. Now, the nice thing about Fartcoin is when it gives you a move, it doesn't fuck around. It gives you a 20% pump. And obviously, occasionally you're going to take a few hits on this thing once or twice. That is why you trade small position, big move, because when it gives you the move, it doesn't give you 5%. It gives you 20. Okay, it really bangs it out for you. So in terms of what I like about Fartcoin, I've been trying to trade it on these hot zones, nibbling in these areas. You can see Fartcoin is getting ready to go here. We've got bullish divergence print on the 2 hour now. And the last time we had a bullish divergence print on Fartcoin, it did give us a nice move. There was our bullish divergence over there, and we did get a nice push to the upside on Fartcoin. So I am looking at this thing with keen interest, okay? But again, you're trading this small position, big move. Now, what is a small position? Well, that's up to you guys, but as long as it involves low leverage. If you're trading high leverage, you're going to get stopped. Remember, the size of the risk here, if you jump into this thing now, and your stop loss is under that zone, it's 6%. So this is not like 𝗏𝗀 where you can get a 2% stop. You've got a 6% risk here now for this thing. So trade your leverage accordingly, because if this thing rips, you're going to get 10, you're going to get 20% out of this move on this Fartcoin. So just play your risk accordingly. Small position, big move. Now, what I love to do is when this thing turns green, let's say this thing starts popping. When it turns nice and green, you add to your position a little bit, okay? Raise your stop to entry, and then you are risk-free. And let the crypto gods pump this thing 10, 20% for you and bank those profits. So just get risk-free as quickly as you can. Okay, as fast as you can. And in terms of where Fartcoin is now, you can see this is a hot zone that it's floating in, and that is why it's trying to react in this area. We've got our bullish divergence. Just be careful. You can see lower time frames. This is horizontal resistance. So you got to let this thing start getting a bit of momentum. Okay, but right now, 6% risk for you guys. And PM George says, no, big positions, all in, big leverage. The man's crazy. The man's crazy. And Ola says 200 leverage, 200x leverage goat short. And James, take that filth. Take that filth off my screen. Okay. Don't be the guy from American Pie. Okay, so guys, where can Fartcoin go? Don't get super greedy. 297, 3134. Okay, those are your upside zones that you want to watch out. Okay, Don Wick, I like that. I also like the Alchemist. Okay, let's look at some 𝗬𝗰, and let's see where we are. Let's see where we are on the 𝗬𝗰. Let's get a fresh, clean chart here for you guys. Okay, I see the hot zone indicator has just gone on automatically. Let's see. Okay, it's printed a flame. What do we got here? Okay, it's given us the flame. Let's see if we got lower time frame divergences here. Yeah, there we got a reversal print. We got a fire on 𝗬𝗰. Okay, so yeah, it looks like it could be a little bit of a ripper here. We've got a divergence print as well on the 1 hour. So what you want to do is you can see the obvious stuff, guys. Okay, loads of chop here. Look at that. Tons of chop in that area. In fact, that's the chop. Okay, so not expecting fireworks here. I would say if this thing does move up, what you're going to do is you're going to just keep this very simple. Okay, there's your resistance. You know that. You can see that's your danger zone for the upside. Where's your support? There. Okay, that's your support. Let's take the hot zone out of the equation here. Okay, and that's your target. Okay, so don't get greedy with this thing. Keep it super simple. What is your risk? Your risk is I'll call it 3%. Your upside target is the range high, 6%. And then your next area is 2.5. So your upside target is 2.39, 2.44, and 2.51. Those are your best upside targets. Okay. And your risk is 3%. So work out, how you want to play this. Your absolute best here, 12%, medium, 7%, realistic, 5%. Okay. So that's probably that's about a 2-to-1 trade. Okay. It's not incredible. Okay. So just make sure you're managing your risk. You can use this indicator on TradingView, the long short setup thing. You can see it gives you your risk reward. Your risk reward is 2-to-1. Okay, it's not amazing. Higher up, if it pumps, it's 3-to-1, and then it's about 4-to-1 if you get that. I don't think you're going to get that. So work with 2-to-1 as your upside target, and your support is 2.19. You close under 2.19, I'd bail. But in terms of reversals, there's a 1 hour reversal print. Okay, and Auto World. Long the good zones, okay, the ones where you got the reversal prints. If you're going to do it, just dial it down. The market's filth. Okay, it's absolute filth at the moment. We got Trump on a call to Putin. Anything can happen. They can rinse us. Like in 20 minutes, they can rinse us.
The call has ended. Officially, it's ended. No news on the freaking call. We just got news that he hung up the phone. Well, what the hell did they say?
Okay, there'll be a press conference. Okay, there'll be something. Okay, so Trump will tweet something.
He's signing executive orders this afternoon as well in 3 hours. So keep that in mind too.
Okay, so guys, it's a messy day out there. Okay, at the moment. So we've got Trump on the phone to Putin. Let's see what he comes out with. Then we've got FOMC tomorrow. If we're selling off, I'm looking for buyers. If we're pumping into FOMC, fuck me, guys. Like, have we not learned? Okay, we're looking for exits there. We're looking for head shorts, things like that. Okay, so that is the game plan. Any pumps now, you've seen support. Sol, you've got support. 𝗬𝗰, you got support. Fartcoin, you got support. Play it. Just small position, big move. Don't get aggressive. Okay, guys, looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be an absolute banging day tomorrow. I can't wait. Okay, see you later.